Hey, what's up? Welcome to On the Bluff. I know it's not Gabe and Christian, but we think we might have something better for you today. Gabe is obviously not on tonight. He had some family stuff come up. Christian is in the midst of a crazy work schedule, so he's not able to make it. So I sent out the bat signal. I said, I need my guy Roman Cleary on. Y'all know Roman. Roman is the beat writer for BCM for the Memphis Tigers. Roman, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. You sent out the bat signal. You got Robin. That's all good, right?
No, I sent out the bat signal and got Batman, baby. You're the
Oh,
man,
okay.
dude. It's good to
Hey,
have you on.
hey, man. I'll take the title of Batman if you're willing to bestow it upon me.
I
But
got you.
anyway, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man. How was your weekend, dude? We finally got some sun out. How was your weekend? How did you make it through the rain? Apparently you did.
Yeah. I survived the rain all fine and well. I mean, obviously, the central area of Memphis and its suburbs weren't exactly at the most at-risk part
Yeah.
of the weather radar in terms of the tornadoes and the flooding and things of that nature. But it was still wasn't very fun to deal with. I did have to take one or two road trips in the rain
Did you?
throughout the weekend, and that wasn't very fun. But you know what? We got through it. It was fine. The season's been over for a couple of weeks now, so this has been the one real period where I've actually had to I've gotten to have real weekends, if you will. And
Yeah.
even tonight would have been pretty chill. I probably would have just watched Raw if I wasn't here. So
Is Raw on right now? Is it is
yeah,
this
I
is
believe it
Raw on
just
Netflix?
Raw's on Netflix now.
Yeah. What are the storylines? What storylines are you paying attention to on Raw right now?
I mean, I think everything on WWE programming is pretty notable right now because, as you probably are aware of, we are on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
WrestleMania in Las Vegas is just a couple of weeks away. It's very exciting. I believe the NFL draft is that same weekend as well. So
Yeah.
that is going to be tons of fun. WrestleMania and the draft. That's I mean
And your
I can't think of a
team
much better weekend than that.
you're not only a WrestleMania guy or a WWE guy, you're also a big time Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and we're gonna have a Pittsburgh Steelers hot three topic that we want to discuss, and I think the draft is going to be an interesting watch for you specifically as a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
But so, what are the who are the who's wrestling in the main event at WrestleMania this year? Do we know yet?
Yes, it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus a heel, a bad guy, John Cena,
Oh,
for the WWE Championship. That's going to be the main event of night one, night two, excuse me. So that's like the big main event on night two.
right.
And the night one main event is going to be a triple threat match between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns.
Oh, wow.
So two very star-studded main events. We also are likely going to have another big triple threat for the women's world title between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley.
Wow.
Jey Uso, the Royal Rumble winner, is going to be taking on Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. That's Raw's main men's title as well. So those are kind of the big feature matches there.
That's crazy. So like were you as I saw a ton of videos. I'm not the biggest wrestling fan. Like I don't watch it like you do, but are were you as devastated by the John Cena heel turn or did you expect it to happen?
I didn't expect it to happen. I don't think many people actually expect it to happen. I wasn't devastated more so than just intrigued overall. Like I wasn't that wasn't like a big blow to like my like childhood memories or whatever because I grew up in the time where it was like kind of cool to like hate John Cena
Oh yeah.
and the
Yeah.
big thing is man we really want John Cena to turn heel. Like that's kind of the big thing. And for a while, I actually didn't want it to happen at this point because in my mind I was like, it's too late for
Yeah.
it to happen. It wouldn't work. But the way that they executed it with him, like aligning with The Rock, and the way that they beat up on Cody at the end of the Elimination Chamber PLE, it was just executed to perfection. And the promos that John's been coming out with over the past couple of weeks to follow it up have just been amazing. He and Cody had a fantastic segment,
I
kind of
saw
going
that.
back and forth on the mic last Monday.
Yeah.
So it really feels like WrestleMania season. I'm excited.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah. No, my wife still makes fun of me for paying a little bit of attention to wrestling. She just laughs and I'm like, You watch 18th century British movies. Don't talk to me about wrestling. Like I'm like you don't even watch movies that were made in your century. Like and they're all British. Like it's like, come on, man, give me a break here.
And the whole making fun of wrestling fans thing is just so old and tired, in my opinion. I don't know, man. Like,
It's
what's the
fun.
point of just it's beating up it's beating on a dead horse, honestly.
It's
Like,
fun. It's fun. If wrestling is fun, right? Like it's
yeah, it's fun. And the thing is that like anyone who actually watches wrestling, like none of us are like watching the product like thinking these guys are actually beating each other's asses. We know it's a choreographed, scripted thing. I'm not going to call it fake because the injuries that these guys suffer in the ring, like those are real. These guys actually get hurt. So I'm not
yeah.
going to like call it fake more so than like scripted and choreographed and pre-planned or whatever. It's about a story, just like any television product is. And that's what I don't think many people who don't watch wrestling really understand.
I almost made a fatal error when we had the studio with Bluff City Media, and we would film the Anthony Sane show up there all the time. And Anthony was a commentator for 901 Wrestling, and we had a bunch of 901 Wrestling guys up there. And off camera, one time I was talking to one of them, and I made mention of the scripted fake part of the wrestling thing, and he looked at me like he wanted to murder me. Like I was like, yo, my bad. Like I thought we could be real here. But no, wrestlers don't like the whole like it's not fake. Yeah.
They want to maintain what's called kayfabe. They want to maintain kind of the facade. Like even though everyone already knows the deal at this point, but wrestlers, they never want to like, well, most of them anyway, they don't want to like break character during interviews or talk about the ins and outs of the business and things like that. That's just something that they still don't want to do. It's just kind of a tradition thing if you're in that world. So that's probably where that comes from.
I made that mistake and almost got my tail kicked for it. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. But Roman, it is WrestleMania season. It is Final Four season. It is NFL draft season. It is NBA playoff season. But it seems like the season that is taking over Memphis is transfer portal season.
Certainly the season that's ruling my world right now.
It's ruling your world, right? Like, what does the day-to-day life of Roman Cleary look like during transfer portal season?
Well, Twitter is pretty much on 24/7. Just to start, you have notifications on for portal update, the portal report, whatever like transfer portal tracking Twitter account there is. You have your notifications turned on for that. Every single notification that you get on your cellular device is kind of an OMG, did I miss something? That kind of thing. Like you want to be on top of things as possible. You're calling, you're texting whoever you can, trying to get ahead of all this stuff. It's a pretty wild time for me right now.
I have in my car, I have one of those little vent magnet things that I put my phone on. I put my phone on there, and I can, access music and all that kind of stuff. I have to literally take it off and put it face down in the console of my car so I don't constantly look at the Twitter notifications. Like, oh yeah, who's transferring? Like, wait, is PJ Haggerty still with the Tigers? Like, what's going on? Like, it's constant. It's constant.
Yeah, you may notice me look over to the left over here. That's my laptop right there. I have to have some sort of tracker in front of me even as I'm making an appearance on this program. So that should just about show you.
So I know we talked about this. We talked about this on Tigers Live, the season finale of Tigers Live. If you haven't watched that, you need to go and listen to it. We had a good time. Shout out to everybody who watched and engaged with us on Tigers Live this year. What a fantastic time we had, I think. Roman, I had a great time with you on there. I know Francis did such a fantastic job of hosting that show, but we went through kind of a transfer portal update. I wanted to bring it to the On the Bluff podcast as well. The transfer portal, we just got out of a 1 week dead period. And so
the dead period's still on until Thursday.
Oh, it's still on until Thursday. Okay. I thought it ended. Yeah. I thought it ended today.
Yeah. It started last Thursday and it goes until this Thursday.
Kind of give Tiger fans lay of the land on where, what Penny Hardaway has been doing. Just kind of an update on who the Tigers have been targeting, some of the names that even the guys who've left the team, guys they brought in. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the transfer portal with Memphis is weird right now because in a way they're in like kind of a waiting game situation because the big thing right now, obviously, for anyone who isn't living under a rock is PJ Haggerty going to return to the Tigers? And that's a whole totally different discussion of itself that I'm sure we'll get into in a minute.
Right.
But anyway, they're kind of in a waiting game with him in a sense that they're not gonna like attempt to like make any sort of like groundbreaking move, go after like any sort of like major player in all likelihood until they know what PJ is going to do, whether he stays or whether he goes, because the way that they're building the roster can completely change depending on what happens with him.
Hmm.
And most teams are not in that situation. They either know who's back or who's not, or their top player has moved on or whatever. So that's why you're seeing other schools, among other reasons, that's why you're seeing other schools kind of jump out ahead of Memphis. They're getting more commitments immediately and that kind of thing. And that really has the sirens, the fire alarms going off for Memphis fans. They're like, oh my gosh, 2025-26 is a wash already. It's over. We'll be lucky to win the AAC, that kind of thing. I hope to quarrel some of those worries a little bit here because Memphis, they do have a plan. They do have, a structure and an outline of how they want to do things. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to be as fast as it was last year because last year was a complete reconstruction. And while this year is still kind of a mostly reconstructive construction of the roster, it's not like the complete rebuild like last year was. They still have major guys that they're kind of hoping on returning there. Of course, with PJ, and they're attempting to work out a waiver situation with Dane. That has not been submitted. There hasn't been like a formal like request to the NCAA yet or anything like that. But I can assure you that Memphis is actively working on that right now. So that's kind of where Memphis's whole mindset is. Of course, Memphis did get a commitment yesterday as we are recording this. That is going to be Temple transfer guard Quante Berry. And I do think that's a pretty good start to the portal. He averaged 10.3 points per game for the Owls last season, 4.3 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 1.3 steals per game. That's a guy who brings some size to the backcourt at 6'4". He can, play adequately on both ends. I think he's a pretty nice defensive piece. And he does have a good offensive game as well. He's not exactly what you would call a dynamic bucket getter. He's what I would describe him as borderline starter, most likely depth piece.
Right.
If Memphis builds the roster the way that it wants to, Quante Berry will be a guy who likely comes off of the bench. But I do think that he is good enough to start in a pinch, like in case of like there's an injury or anything like that. Someone's ruled ineligible at the last second or something like that. Quante Berry is good enough to probably like start in those types of circumstances. Of course, I think this point has been drilled in a lot of people's heads already, but Quante is a guy who gave the Tigers a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he did.
2 different outings last season, especially in the game at Temple on January 16th, where the Owls upset the Tigers, where they became one of only 2 teams in the AAC this season to upset Memphis. I believe he scored 16 points against the Tigers in that game.
Yep.
So Barry, I think, is a very, very good start to the portal class. I've heard a couple of people mention this already. He is someone that I do think that the ceiling with him has not exactly been reached yet. I do think there is perhaps another gear that he can get to. If he can improve a little bit, say with his off the dribble shooting, if his 3-point shooting can continue to get better, if he becomes even better of a driver, and that's where most of his offense comes from right now. He is a put your head down, get to the basket type of player. That's who Quante Berry mainly is right now. But he is a threat from the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. And he can, find ways to score in other avenues. He's not going to be a one-dimensional player or anything like that. I do think that he is far better than any reserve guard that you had last season for sure. A very nice ad to start the portal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously if you had the opportunity, if the depth pieces filled out the way that Penny wants them to, Quante Berry would be a off the bench guy, would be a reserve guy, and I think I agree with everything you just said. I think he's a fantastic off the bench piece. Like, is he a guy that you could start? Absolutely, but is he a guy that would add a a very dynamic type of player off the bench for Penny Hardaway, something they didn't have this year. When obviously when Dane made the switch to the starting lineup, he was the main piece off the bench that was was a good scoring dynamic piece for the Tigers, but they struggled with that. I think a lot of the issues they had was when they did lose one of their starting five to whether it be foul trouble, an injury, whatever it may be. Even during the midst of the game, during just regular rotations, Penny would have to. It was almost like kind of holding on by a thread, trying to keep the offense going, right? Because as good as Baraka was defensively, the liability on offense. As good as who else? PJ Carter. PJ Carter was fine offensively, but I would say Quante Berry is a more dynamic piece, to what Penny wants to do, and so offensively, I think he's more dynamic, but then at the same time, he's also a defensive piece. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's a more developed kid than PJ Carter was. And obviously PJ was a fantastic player for the Tigers last year. I think he really elevated his game. I would look at it and say Quante Berry is the kind of kid that I think where he's at right now is already probably a more dynamic player than PJ Carter was. And look at the elevation that PJ made coming to Memphis and playing for Penny Hardaway. I would suspect that you would see that kind of an elevation as well for Quante Berry.
Yeah, and as for other guys that Memphis is currently, entertaining in the portal, they've had 4 total players on campus so far, including Quante Berry. They've had Chris Bell, the wing from Syracuse at 6'7".
Right.
3-point sniper, not really too good defensively. He's kind of a liability on that end, to be honest. But he is a very good 3-point shooter, good overall offensive weapon. Would be a pretty nice add as a depth piece for sure. They've had Duncan Powell on campus. Now, he is committed to Georgetown, so you can take him off the board. He would have been a really, really nice add as like as like a stretch 4, bigger 3 type player. Memphis really would have liked to had him. I do know that Memphis really wanted him, but unfortunately for them, that didn't really work out. So Duncan Powell off the board, but he has visited Memphis. And Tanner Toulson, the 6'5" guard from Utah Valley, he has also been on campus for Memphis last week. And I'll tell you, Memphis they really like Tanner Toulson. Tanner Toulson is a really legitimate option for Memphis. I know there are certain things there that may get people laughing or whatever and be a little bit perplexed, but Tanner Toulson's a really, really good ball player.
Absolutely.
He's a really good 3-point shooter, and not just that, he brings a real physical aspect to his game as well.
Yeah.
Like he is not afraid to draw contact. He's not afraid to get rugged and dirty when he needs to. I think he can be a really, really valuable piece for you offensively, and Memphis is a realistic option for him. He really, really enjoyed his visit here, and he's a guy that I would just keep a really close eye on moving forward.
Yeah.
I have confirmed with a source that South Carolina forward Zachary Davis will be coming to Memphis for a visit starting on Friday. And Zachary Davis is a real interesting player to me. He's kind of a project right now, but he's rock solid defensively. Very good on that end. And his offensive game continues to get better year after year. And when you watch him just like play, when you watch the film, the 3-point shooting isn't there right now. He only shot 28% from 3 last season. But the form is there. He has good ball handling. He has really good mobility. He moves really, really solidly, both on and off ball. He's another guy, kind of like with Quante Berry, where I don't think the ceiling with him has been reached. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So if Memphis were to add Zachary Davis, which I do think is a legitimate possibility at this point, Memphis is a real option for him. I would be excited about that move if I were a Tigers fan. There is another name out there that I heard could be visiting as soon as this weekend, but I'm not quite confident enough to put that out there. But he is someone that has been publicly mentioned with Memphis before. Jamichael Stillwell, the Milwaukee forward, is supposed to be on a visit with Memphis at some point. I have confirmed that Memphis is working to schedule a visit with him, and that's a starting four right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is a tenacious rebounder. Uh, his nickname is Mr. Stand on Business, I believe. I believe that's his nickname. And when you watch him play, you can see exactly why, because that dude is a straight up dog.
Yeah.
For the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Now, offensively, he is maybe a bit limited. He's good offensively. He averaged 10 points a game. He won't be a liability on that end, but he's not exactly a pick and pop guy. He's not going to be someone who you can rely on to shoot, say, 35% from three or anything like that from the four position, but he'll hit one or two if you leave him open, and he'll get tons of second chance opportunities
Tons of rebounds
on the offensive end, put back guy, that kind of thing. That's what Jamichael Stillwell is all about. Memphis should really, really hone in on him.
Yeah.
Like, really should. He would be
and it
such a
sounds like they
valuable
are.
piece.
It sounds
Yeah.
like they are. Yeah, it sounds like they are.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you we're a few more minutes left in this first segment, but I wanted to ask you, I think it's invariably every single offseason, there comes a point in time, and it seems to be getting earlier and earlier each year. It is April 7th, Monday, April 7th. It'll be the 8th when you watch this. But there's already seemed to be kind of a panic set in for Tigers fans, right? Like Tiger basketball fans are panicking a little bit. And I think the large portion of it is the fact that PJ Haggerty is still the answer, the questions and stuff about PJ, whether he's going to come back, the Dane Danger stuff, whether he's going to come back. And then you see a lot of guys that have been, and I think the wording that's kind of being misused is targeting. Memphis is targeting certain players, and then you see them commit elsewhere. Is it time for the Tiger fans to panic at this point, or do you think it's let's just allow Penny to do what he does the best, and that's get players for his roster in Memphis?
Here's the thing that, I think a lot of people out there are kind of misconstruing right now. If you see Memphis in like one of these like 30 plus school long lists of like, Memphis has contacted this player, they have reached out to this player, so and so tells me that Memphis, along with 40 other schools, has reached out, they've made contact. Right. That does not automatically make them a Memphis target.
Right.
Memphis has missed out on a couple of legitimate targets this year. I'll give you that. Amari Monroe is one of them.
Yeah.
Amarian Dickerson is another. There have been guys that Memphis has legitimately tried to get and failed. I'm not going to pretend like that hasn't happened. But when you see people put out, here's a thread of all the targets that Memphis has missed in the portal, and it's like 20 names long, that's just not true. Memphis has not missed on 30 targets. They haven't missed on 20
right.
targets. Like
right.
That's just not how it's happened. That's just isn't how it's gone down. Again, Memphis is being very meticulous about the way that it's operating in the portal right now. And again, we still have to remember there are 15 days left until the transfer portal entry deadline. We still have 15 whole days for high impact players to enter the portal.
Right.
And there are names that I've heard linked with Memphis that haven't even been, that publicly mentioned yet that could be legitimate starting pieces. So please remember, like, there are, especially with the guards, there's always going to be options with the guards.
Yeah.
Now, the front court, you may need to hustle up a little bit on the front court stuff. Bigs, fours, fives, centers, power forwards. You may want to get the ball rolling on those guys a little bit, because legitimate options at the big spot, they are at a premium in the portal.
Right.
It's just simple supply and demand type of thing. So you may want to, get on those guys and try to get at least a commitment or two there sooner rather than later before they get too expensive or all the options are, watered out or whatever. Again, they are really, really banking on Dane and his waiver in a sense. Maybe a bit too much. We have seen the instances before where Memphis has relied heavily on waivers coming through, whether it's, with DeAndre Williams or other guys. Oh, this guy will get approved, so we don't really need to worry about that. We'll just get him back. And it hasn't really worked out, and Memphis has had to scramble at the last minute.
Right.
I'm sure Memphis fans don't want to see that happen again. I'm sure Memphis doesn't want to see that happen again. Now, there are names that Memphis is linked to there, like Quincy Ballard and Christian Coleman. Again, Jermichael Stillwell is another guy they're in there with. They were in on Georgetown center Drew Fielder for a second, but he committed to USC earlier today, so he's off the board, which, again, goes to show these bigs are coming off of the board very quickly.
Yes.
So
yes.
You do need to make a move there. Those are very urgent. But with the guards, again, there does need to be a sense of urgency there for the ultra elite options to play next to PJ Haggerty potentially in the event that he returns. But you still have a lot of really good options there, even if the elite options don't work out for you. And if you have PJ Haggerty, you don't need another elite option, right? Because PJ Haggerty is the best elite option you can get, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me ask you this. So does it concern you, though, that, I mean, you mentioned that there's obviously an expectation the Tigers are confident about their potential ability to get a waiver for Dane.
Yes.
But does it concern you, though, that nothing has been done on that end? Like there's not been a petition for that waiver submitted? Like, I mean, if bigs are coming off the market so fast because of the supply and demand idea, then can you wait for the NCAA to dude, they're getting rolled in court every single day. They got a lot on their plate right now. They're working through a lot of stuff. This house settlement they're still working through, all this kind of stuff. Are they going to slow roll these waiver requests? And should the Tigers then wait to, like, are we going to get Dane back before we go and sign somebody else?
When it comes to the NCAA, you assume everything is slow at all times. It doesn't matter what's going on. They could have nothing going on.
Yeah.
And I would still be like, okay, you don't rely on them fitting in with your timetable. Penny Hardaway put it perfectly during the DeAndre thing a couple of years ago. The NCAA don't got no deadline, and that is absolutely true.
That's true.
The NCAA they don't care about your deadline or when the season starts or whatever, man. They're going to make their decisions on these things whenever they damn well please.
Yeah,
that's just the truth.
It's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, so it's extremely unwise, in my opinion, to put all of your eggs in the Dane Danger basket as of now. Not because he isn't the best option you can get, because he obviously is. I think Dane would be the highest sought after big on the market if he were in the transfer portal right now.
Yes.
Like maybe besides Yaxel, but Yaxel's off the board, so not counting him there.
Right.
So again, you want Dane back. There isn't a scenario where you do not want Dane Danger back on your basketball team.
Right.
You want to do everything you can. You want to exhaust every option possible to find a way to retain him and get him back for one final season. But in saying that, there has to be a contingency plan there. There has to be a backup, whether that's Quincy Ballard or someone else.
How would you feel? Let me ask you this.
You got to get somebody.
What if Quincy Ballard is the contingency plan and he comes in and he commits to the Tigers? Would you feel comfortable going into the season with Quincy Ballard as your starting five?
Absolutely. I think Quincy Ballard is great. I think he's awesome.
He is too. He's got really good hands. He's got really good feet, moves well. He's big. He gave Musa issues, dunked on Musa and punked Musa at the rim. And I loved Musa, but Yes, he's got the size, right? Like he's got the size to be a force down low. Now, is he the offensive threat that Dane is? Absolutely
No.
not. There's not another big in the country, I think, that's an offensive threat the way that Dane is in the post.
But he is every bit as good defensively, maybe even better.
Maybe even better. Yeah.
Maybe even better rebounder than Dane. Quincy Ballard does bring certain dimensions that Dane doesn't, at least not as high of a level.
Right.
You know, Dane is far better offensively. That's well established. And he's a far better player. But Quincy Ballard would still be a phenomenal option for you, I think, to start at center if need be. Again, he's another guy that I would be pushing for pretty hard right now.
I would too.
Because he is the best big that you have a realistic shot at right now. And if need be, he could be a great starting center. And if Dane Danger comes back, you have the best backup big in the country, just like that. Probably.
I agree with you. Yeah. Give me a date. When should Tiger fans start panicking? When should they start? When should panic set in? Right now is not the time, but when should panic set in?
Maybe see where we are by the end of April.
Okay.
Like around like the portal entry deadline. Let's see where Memphis is by then. Let's see what PJ Haggerty has done. Let's see, because like surely we would have a PJ Haggerty decision by then. I have to imagine.
I would wonder. Let me ask you. This is the last thing before we get to a break. Do you think there's a possibility that PJ has already told Penny what he's going to do, and they're just waiting? They're kind of slow rolling it right now, or what do you think the options are? Do you think he legitimately doesn't know, or do you think that there is a chance that maybe he's gone to Penny and said, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do, bro. Like, I'll be back, or I'm leaving." One of the two.
From everything I've heard, he has not made a decision yet.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that PJ Haggerty, you know, he keeps a very tight circle on these things.
Very tight.
He you know, when David Jones was here last year, he became pretty infamous for having all these different handlers, right?
The circle was wide.
He had 4 or 5 different guys. Like, this guy would do this guy would do that. That's not PJ.
No.
PJ Haggerty keeps his camp, his circle, you know, the people that's really in the know on these things, very, very tight. And that's what I think you have to be careful with when you're considering, you know,
information, right?
Yeah, considering PJ's, you know, current status or whatever. When it comes to PJ, if you're not hearing it from certain individuals, I would approach what you're hearing there with some skepticism. There's a lot of talk out there right now. PJ is asking for X amount, and he has offers for X amount, when it's just not true. That's just not the situation right now.
Yep.
And again, just based off of everything that I'm hearing, and just kind of the way that I'm interpreting things, and the way that PJ Haggerty has handled the transfer portal before. Like last year, he jumped in the portal immediately, and he made a decision very quickly.
Yep.
He was very decisive, very snappy. And I don't really see a reason why he would handle this any differently, because the big money offers have been out there for PJ Haggerty since January.
He's been hearing them since January. Yeah.
He has been getting tampered with out the Murph for a while.
The Murph? What in the hell?
Like come on.
I never heard that before. I like that phrase. I'm stealing it.
Like that man has been tampered with worlds on end for a minute now. Like if there's a big money offer out there for PJ Haggerty that he just can't pass up, that was made a long time ago. Right? Like, I seriously doubt that he is just waiting around for like a $4 million offer. Like that, because first off, no college basketball player is going to be getting that realistically. Like Yaxel Lindeborg was the number 1 player in the portal for the short time he was in it, and he got between 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to Yaxel.
Yeah. You know,
congrats to him.
Got the bag from Michigan. Good for him, man.
Good for him.
Yep.
All right, Roman, let's take a break. When we come back, we're gonna do the hot 3. You're gonna be baptized into the hot 3 for the first time ever. You excited?
Excited as I'll ever be.
Let's go.
So this is a new segment I'm debuting. It's called "What the Hell NBA?" What the hell NBA? Because it looks like Ja Morant was fined. Well, it doesn't look like nothing. He was fined what, $75,000 for finger guns. which is funny. It's a lot of things.
It's a celebration you've done all season.
That's 9. It's embarrassing. It's
We see you, NBA. We see you.
what the hell?
The Jonkers. We see you. We see you. Yeah. Adam Silver literally is allowing like women beaters to run around in the NBA unscathed. Jackson Hayes beat up his girlfriend in half of LAPD, and nothing has happened to him yet. The optics of it are just goofy. Adam Silver is the only thing saving him from being the worst commissioner in professional sports is that Rob Manfred is still the commissioner of professional baseball. But Adam Silver is a point blank period. But I hope he does it every single game from here on out because everybody else in the NBA is doing it. Why are we singling out Ja Morant?
Tune into the Daily Grind with your host, Luke Hatmaker, every Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. Hey, what's going on, everybody? If you know anything about Bluff City Media and the content creators, the podcasters on this network, you know that most of us love to bet on sports. And right now, it's the best time of the year to do it. March Madness is here, and every game is a chance to cash in. From the first tip-off to the Final Four, every night promises high-stakes matchups, wild finishes, and big-time betting opportunities. And MyBookie's Bet and Get is back to sweeten the deal. Place a cash bet on March Madness and get a surprise reward. Free bets, cash back, bonus chips. You never know what's coming next. Whether it's a number one seed rolling or an underdog shocking the world, smart bettors know the real money is made one game at a time. Sign up now with promo code MM50 and you can boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to help you make the most of your money. If you don't want a bonus, that's okay too. Just make sure you let them know that Bluff City Media sent you there. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere, only with MyBookie. Okay. We are back. Oh, you like this. Get down, Roman. Get it down. The boy, Christian and Gabe don't like this song. I like it. We're going to jam for a second. Oh, yeah. Let's go. You ready, man? It's the hot three. You ready to get into it?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Turn this down just a little bit.
That is a bit overbearing.
Is it a bit? Is it a bit too loud for you? All right. Well, hey, listen. It is Monday night. It is 7:45 on Monday night. Championship. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship tips in 5 minutes. Roman, let's hurry up and get through this so we can go watch. But man, we had a fantastic semifinal matchups between Duke and Houston, Florida and Auburn. What did you think about? Let's go Florida and Auburn first. What were your thoughts, man? What to the chalkiest Final Four of all time?
Yeah.
Outside of the 2008 Final Four, Florida Auburn came in. Florida down by like 14 points in the first half, maybe even a little bit into the second half. Came back and won the game. What were your thoughts on that Florida Auburn game?
You see, I was an Auburn guy pretty much all year, right? Auburn was the team that I was rolling with. Yet there's no way these guys aren't going to win the Natty. They have beaten more quality teams than anyone. They have the most depth of anyone. Their roster is just loaded from top to bottom. This just feels like Bruce Pearl's year.
Yep.
But Florida is a pretty awesome team in of itself, right? And I ultimately think they just made, the more crucial plays down the stretch. I mean, Auburn had chances to get back into the game late after Florida took the lead there. I point to, Florida missing that free throw in the final seconds and then getting that offensive rebound and that which allowed them to send Clayton back to the free throw line that allowed Florida to seal it. Florida they were just a bit better, I think, than Auburn down the stretch. I mean, don't take anything away from Auburn. You can make the argument that they may have peaked a bit too soon, but I still think they were the best team in college basketball this year. Yeah. This result doesn't change that for me. Congrats to the Gators for making it to the title game, though.
All right, so they're facing off against the Houston Cougars. Honestly, what that game, that Houston Duke game,
that was unbelievable. Wow.
Unbelievable. Let me ask you a question. Hot topic. Did Duke fumble that game or did Houston take that game?
Houston took it.
Yeah.
Houston took it. I mean, obviously, when you are up 6 with 32 seconds to go and then you lose the game in regulation, there is a level of choking there. There's no denying that.
Right.
But I still think Houston just went in there and took it.
Yeah.
They were tougher. They were grittier. They were, I think, the better coach team down the stretch. I mean,
Clearly.
this has been Houston's. Houston's been due for this, I think, for a really, really long time, and I just feel really awesome for Kelvin that he gets this moment. I think he has the right group to do it. Juwan Roberts has been there forever. LJ Cryer is a former national champion in of himself with Baylor.
Right.
They have I think the pieces to get this done. Florida may be a bit deeper, but I think this is Houston's time. I really do.
Yeah, I wanted to before we move on to the championship game, because the championship game is probably one of the hardest that I've ever had to pick. Like who, and I have a feeling I know. We'll get into that in a second. But I know Houston won that game, and Kelvin Sampson is just like, I saw somebody tweet it out, like, how cool must it be to be the Houston Cougars fan? You literally wake up in the morning and you got the best damn coach in college basketball. Like, how awesome is that?
Without a doubt.
Dude, he is just the man. But how impressed were you? Have you been as impressed as I've been with Cooper Flagg this year? I mean, dude, like, is he not one of the best freshmen that you've seen come through college basketball in years?
Yeah, no, like Cooper Flagg, I think, is on like the Anthony Davis, John Wall level tier in terms of, just a freshman, Zion Williamson.
Yes.
Like a freshman who's able to take over the entire sport.
Yeah.
And don't get it twisted. That's exactly what Cooper Flagg has done. He was arguably the best player in the country this year, period, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what an impressive, what I imagine is going to be his only season in college basketball. And if he's not the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft come the summer,
we don't know basketball. If he's not, then we don't know basketball. Like, that's all I can say. But he will be the number 1 pick. I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
I think Utah is like salivating over the fact they can get the white Paul George in Utah. Like, I think it's going to be incredible. Yeah. But no, he's phenomenal. Obviously that missed shot, but that's a tough shot. I mean, Juwan Roberts played as good a defense as you can on that shot. But what a fantastic game. And Houston coming back. Now they're facing off against Florida like right now. And so when this comes out, everybody's going to know what ends up happening with that game. But it's so tough for me. I'm betting my daughter. Me and my daughter have a bet for this game, right? Like what's going to happen. And I had more confidence that Houston was going to beat Duke than I do that Houston will beat Florida. And I'll say that the reason why is because I think Florida's front court is light years better than Houston's front court. Houston's defense, though, number 1 defensive team in the country, phenomenal players. But I honestly think that this Florida team is destined to win this game because of their front court.
I don't know. Does Florida have a tougher player than Juwan Roberts, though? I don't think they do.
They have 3 guys that I think can go at. They have their front court is going to be. They have those 3. They have I don't even know, Condon.
Will Richards.
They have the I don't even know how you say his name. Echua. Anyway, they have
Chinyelu.
Yes, sorry, I don't know his last name. But their front court, I think, the waves that they can hit you with, right? Like Juwan is tough, but the waves that they can hit you with Florida. And then you've got Walter Clayton Jr., or Walter Clayton the third or the junior, whichever one he is. He is. I genuinely don't know who on Houston is going to be able to match up against him. Like, I think he is fantastic.
I mean, Duke had the best player on the floor against Houston. Didn't matter. They arguably probably the better front court on paper. Didn't matter. If it were any other team, I would see where you're coming from. But
yeah,
you got Houston. They have tried and failed to get to this title game for years. This is Kelvin Sampson's opportunity. Yeah. And I just don't see him letting him pass it by.
I just say this?
I just don't.
I'll say this. I am going to be extremely upset if I wake up in the morning and Todd Golden has a national championship before Kelvin Sampson. Like, I'm going to be really upset. The basketball gods are not friendly if Todd Golden has a championship ring before Kelvin Sampson. I think he is one of my favorite people to have ever coached or played in this game called basketball, and I really want to see him get a win tonight.
Yeah, I mean, as a reporter, I'm going to plead the fifth on the whole Todd Golden thing because like that can open a whole can of wormholes, right?
Oh, I'm not talking about just the Title IX stuff. I'm talking about the dude's 23 years old. Like you're older than he is. Like like it's time. Like Kelvin Sampson has been through the grind at Houston. They played videos. I saw videos of him today where
he was going around the school during his first season, like just begging people to come to the games.
Right. He's been through
he was on the megaphones, like handing out tickets, this, that, and the third.
And now look at where he's had Houston, the culture that he's built there, and the fact that they've been a dominant team. They've been one of the top teams in the NCAA for multitude of years. Now, guess what, though? Guess what coach has beat him more times than any other coach in college basketball?
Anthony Penny Hardaway.
Ooh, let's go. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But shout out to Houston. Shout out to Florida. Going to be a fantastic matchup. I want to see Houston win, though. I know I'm not supposed to be, but I just want to see Houston win. Let's get on to the next topic. Hot three, topic number 2. Let's get to some Grizzlies talk. Obviously, we got 2 topics I want to discuss with this. Obviously, the narrative, the talk around NBA basketball has been these finger guns celebrations by Ja Morant and by literally 90% of the NBA. But apparently when Ja Morant did it against the Golden State Warriors and everybody freaked out, and the Golden State media decided to screenshot shots of Ja Morant and then crop out Buddy Hield doing the exact same celebration, Adam Silver decided to get involved and say, I'm going to investigate this and I'm going to warn both these guys. And then Ja Morant came out with a big middle finger FU with some more trigger fingers, and then he got fined $75,000. What are your thoughts on this, bro? Like, is this like, am I being crazy for thinking this is the silliest thing ever?
No, this is nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just straight up nonsense. I don't even know what else there is to say about it other than it's just silly. Why do we care? These are grown men. These are professional basketball players. Yeah. Why does it matter the gestures that they're doing on the floor to celebrate?
Yeah.
Or taunt or whatever. I mean, obviously there needs to be a certain degree of sportsmanship. I understand that. But finger guns, man, like that you got kids on middle school buses doing finger guns and nothing happens to them. Right? Like,
well, some would say, well, they're getting that because of the basketball players, so they should stop, right? My big frustration with it is that you've got congressmen and women that do Christmas cards with their entire family holding AR-15s and it being celebrated.
Yeah, you got Kid Rock going viral on Instagram just a few years ago for shooting up an entire case of Budweisers, I believe it was, like on camera for the world to see. Or what was it, Bud Light or Budweiser? I can't quite remember.
Budweiser, I think, or Bud Light.
Yeah.
Bud Light.
Yeah, it was Bud Light. Yeah, because he didn't like their
politics.
Their like initiatives or whatever, right? Yeah. So he thinks it's a good idea to go on Instagram and shoot like an entire an entire case of Bud Light beers.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, way to fight for freedom or whatever. Yeah. But they're going to be offended over Ja Morant doing finger guns during an NBA basketball game. Like,
I just think,
what are we doing?
I think the hypocrisy of a country that celebrates guns as much as America does, getting upset about finger gun celebrations. And I legitimately have a hard time believing that it's not the fact that Ja Morant is an outspoken, brash black man who, honestly, when certain people see guys like him do that, they think gang activity, they think thuggish, they think all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that to me feels like exactly where all this is coming from, that it's because he is a guy who, well, he's got to be a thug. Look at his hair, right? Like he's got long braids in his hair. He's got long twists in his hair. Like look at, the way he talks, he's got gold in his mouth. Like I legitimately, that's the hypocrisy of it that I just find absurd, is that you've got people who have literally put pictures up of politicians and said, their campaign statement was, I'm going to shoot them with this gun that I have in my hands. And then they get all bent out of shape and then the NBA gets involved and they get all bent out of shape about a celebration where a guy is literally holding up threes and going like this. And because it's in the shape of a gun, right? Like, come on, man. It's just silly.
Like, here's the thing. John Morant is not a criminal. He's never been convicted or indicted on anything criminal related. In fact, multiple people have been convicted for committing criminal actions against him.
Yes.
That's the funny thing.
Yep.
Like, multiple people have been convicted for committing crimes against John Morant to his detriment.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And he's the guy that he's the poster child for why the NBA is in such a bad place. It's crazy. All right, let's get to let's jump off that. Everybody's been talking about that, but let's get to the last 4 games of the season. Have you ever seen an NBA the last 4 games of a season where a conference has 5 teams that are tied with the same exact record going into the last 4 games of the season? This is a crazy time period. The Grizzlies are 8th in the Western Conference and could, if they win all 4 of these last 4 games, could potentially get to the 4th or 3rd seed in the Western Conference playoffs. This is a wild time for the Grizzlies, man. What are your thoughts on the last 4 games of the season, where the Grizzlies are moving in towards the NBA playoffs?
I'm not gonna lie. I think the Grizzlies are kind of cooked. I think they're done.
Have you been watching them?
Like, mentally speaking, man, like the body language that they have in some of these games just isn't. It's just not good. Like the late game defensive lapses, the way that they just tend to get stagnant on offense, it's just not a good place right now. I think. Taylor Jenkins had to go because he was gonna completely lose the locker room if he hadn't already. Isolo is doing some solid things. I do think they are getting better, but are they going to close the gap enough in time for playoff basketball? I just don't know. Maybe if they get the right draw, they can get past the first round. But first, they got to worry about getting out of the play-in, which I'm skeptical of their ability to do as of now, because they have to show that they can beat the legit teams, and they just haven't been able to do that all year long.
Well, they just got their first win against a plus 500 team in the last 2 months, a couple of days ago. They haven't beat a plus 500 team in 2 months. And they came out and they beat Detroit in Detroit, put a beat down on them pretty good. And that was their first win. So, yes, I think your point is taken well. They have, since the All-Star break, have scuttled where they were. They were 2nd in the West heading into the All-Star break, and now they're 8th and squarely into the play-in. It is wild to me, though, that they have a potential. They have a shot. They could be in the 4 or 3 seed by the time it's all said and done in 4 games. I do think that Tomas Isolo is pushing all the right buttons right now. There are things that he has done, things that he's changed, specifically with how he's using Zach Edey. He's using Zach Edey in a ton more screen and rolls, screens for everybody. And what we know about John Morant is that John Morant operates well in the screens. Like this offense, this communist offense that the Grizzlies ran to start the season, highlighted guys like Jake LaRavia, highlighted guys like who else? Really, Jake LaRavia. It highlighted, what he could do. It highlighted those guys, but it really damaged, I think, what John Morant could do. He operates out of the pick and roll. That's what he's really good at. And so when you go and you draft a guy like Zach Edey, who when he sets a screen can block out the sun, and you use him in a dunker spot or in a cutter spot instead of allowing him to set pick and rolls, it makes no sense. And so what you've seen with Isolo is he's absolutely unlocked a portion of that in Zach's game, and you've seen Ja is on thanks to the some of the numbers provided by Sean Coleman on Twitter. He said that this is Ja has been playing now for a few years, and this is the second best scoring stretch that he's had as a pro since he's been a Memphis Grizzly, averaging above 30 points a game. Really unlocked Ja again and unlocked Zach Edey again. Zach Edey just set a rookie record for the Memphis Grizzlies with 21 rebounds against the Detroit Pistons. So I'm interested to see what happens, man. Like I'm interested to see like if are the Grizzlies regaining some of that Grizzly swagger that they had 2 years ago, right? Like it feels like Isolo is pressing some of the right buttons for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm still really skeptical of, okay, can these guys get better defensively, especially against the elite teams in the Western Conference late in games? Because that's what got them last week against Golden State. Yep. That's what got them. They couldn't stop Curry, and when they started to hone in on Curry down the stretch, everyone else just killed him. And this team is lacking, I think, the defensive stopper that it needs right now.
Yeah.
To really make some noise in the playoffs. Again, if they get the right draw, they might be able to get past the first round. But that all depends on seeding and who they play. Yeah. I just don't see this Grizzlies team going beyond the second round this year. Unfortunately.
If they were to get to the 6th seed in the playoffs, they would probably face off against the Denver Nuggets. Do you like that matchup?
I don't know, man. Do they have anyone that can stop Jokic?
I mean, Zach's 7'5".
Yeah, but
who can stop Jokic? Who can actually stop Jokic? Right? Like that's the question. Like we get all concerned about these massive NBA superstars.
It's less about Jokic himself, but can they stop everything that Jokic does?
Right.
The way that he's able to spread out the floor for that entire team. Like, can they contain all the shooters?
Yeah. Can
they keep Jamal Murray in check? That kind of thing.
I think Jamal's been hurt, to be honest with you. I don't even know if he'd be playing. I know he hasn't been playing. He hadn't played in a while. Let me check and see real quick. All right, let's go to this. What if they actually, you know what? If they made it the 6th seed, they would probably play the Lakers.
Okay. Yep. Goodbye. You're done.
You think so? You think they're done if they play the Lakers?
Yeah, LeBron and Luka, that's too much. You can't ask them to get past that.
I don't know. I kind of like that matchup. They got nothing outside of those two guys.
But those two of the arguably top 5 players in the league, though.
It's true. Jamal Murray has a lingering hamstring issue, and there is a serious doubt about his availability for the playoffs. So that would be huge for the Nuggets if they don't have Jamal Murray. That'd be a massive blow. All right, let's say they get to the 8th seed. They come out of the play-in, and they get the 8th seed. They'd probably more than likely going to face off against the Houston Rockets. You like that matchup?
I mean, the Rockets are extremely young, obviously. Yeah. They don't have a lot of experience. Maybe that's one where the Grizzlies can still maybe get to the second round there. Yeah. But the Rockets are also a very big team. That's a lot of size and a lot of size on the perimeter that you have to deal with. So no matchup is going to be easy for Memphis.
I agree.
Nothing's going to be easy. Yeah. But the Rockets would likely be one of their more favorable ones.
I agree with that 100%. All right, let's move on to the last topic for the Hot 3. For those of you that don't know, Roman Cleary is a monster Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And Roman and I have traveled a lot these last few months together, and we have dissected and analyzed and analyzed the Pittsburgh Steelers and where they're at. Roman, are you as sick and tired of this Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh Steelers QB drama that everybody else seems to be?
I mean, there really is no drama at this point. The Steelers have no other options, and he has no other options. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So then why is he waiting? What is going on? Like, what is his decision?
I don't know, man. Like,
bro, they got a starting spot for you right now. What is the holdup? Like, what's he waiting for? Is he coming off an ayahuasca trip? Like, is he coming off of is he doing like a deep cleanse of his chakras? Like, what is he doing?
I don't know. Like, maybe Maybe the money's not there, or maybe you don't want to do OTAs. I mean, there could be a myriad of reasons there. All I know is that at some point, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback one way or another for 2025.
Does it not bother you though? Like, does it? Listen, the Steelers have been a model of consistency, of no drama. They said they kicked what's his name off, Antonio Brown. They kicked him off the teams. They said, you're too much for us. You're trash talking our quarterback publicly. You're doing all this. Get out.
Ben was far from a saint during that time.
100%. He had issues off the field. Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger was far from, like, let's say, like, the good guy in that whole situation. Ben was going on radio programs during the 2018 season, literally bashing players every single week and, like, failing to, like, take account for his own mistakes. Right. So Ben Roethlisberger was far from the good guy there. Antonio Brown just had to be the odd man out because the problems that he was causing just went way beyond, like, anything reasonable. So
yeah. So the Steelers, though, like, I mean, they've had, what's their claim to fame? They've had 3 coaches in the entire history of their franchise. Mike Tomlin,
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin will win you 8-9 games every year. He'll be in the playoffs, but that's really about it, right? Like, you're not really going to get it. They've tried to go all in this year, right? They got George Pickens, who's their number 1 right receiver.
No, they're not really going all in. They're kind of punting the quarterback situation.
DK Metcalf. They're going after DK Metcalf. Yeah. They got him. Then they're going after Aaron Rodgers. Could you, like, what is the offensive room going to look like with an Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, I guess, them together? That dynamic is going to be wild, right? It's going to be a soap opera.
I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of strong personalities. I will say Aaron Rodgers is coming from one of the most toxic organizations in football. I mean, he was obviously far from perfect in terms of his own behavior there. But the Jets are, like, they're the Jets, man. Like, yeah. Who has ever gone to the Jets and it just, like, worked out? Pretty much no one, right? I mean, you could probably come up with a few guys to where, like, because, like, maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick going to the Jets. Maybe that worked out for him because he got paid a lot of money after that one really good season he had with the Jets. But, like, besides, like, him and a few other guys,
right?
The Jets they are where you go to die, right? And we've seen a lot of guys go to the Jets and then it doesn't go well. They go somewhere else and then they're back to maybe not like their prime self, but they're in a much better spot. And Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, we do know that they have a lot of respect for each other. Mike Tomlin is the main guy in the room right now that's kind of lobbying for Aaron Rodgers more than anybody. And I have a weird level of optimism that it can work with him. George Pickens and DK, I mean, I think that can work too. I mean, the attitude thing is going to be this is all very perplexing right
You're
now.
Such an optimistic fan. George Pickens picked fights with everybody last year. Now he's got another guy who thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread coming into his wide receiver room and DK Metcalf. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, who is the most prima donna quarterback that has ever existed. This guy is holding out when he literally could either go start for the Pittsburgh Steelers or stock shelves at Costco. Like, choose. Like, those are your options, bro. And he's still holding out. Like, I have a feeling I am concerned for your Steelers, man. That there's just going to be drama.
This year really doesn't matter that much anyway, because all that matters this year is getting through it so you can draft your franchise quarterback in 2026. That's what this upcoming season is all about anyway. So if it all goes to hell, then it is what it is. Like,
well, here's my thought process to you. They brought Jackson Dart in, Ole Miss quarterback.
Jackson Dart is not good enough to be a starting quarterback.
Bro, what would you, if the Pittsburgh Steelers coming into the draft this year, would you pick Jackson Dart as your quarterback in waiting, or would you wait? Who would you go after, or would you wait till the 26th?
Wait till 26. Wait till 26. There is no quarterback in this year's draft that's good enough to be your franchise guy. Not even Cam Ward, in my opinion. Like
Wow.
Cam Ward would be like the number 5 quarterback in most good classes.
Who are the top quarterbacks in 26 that you're looking out for the Steelers potentially?
I mean, like, Arch Manning is obviously the top guy, but he's going to be mega hype. Nico Amiavia from Tennessee. You have Lenora Sellers from South Carolina. Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. I mean, Drew Aller, Penn State potentially. Like, the 26 class is just looking a lot better for the quarterbacks. And what Pittsburgh is doing right now, if you've noticed, is they are setting themselves up to get a lot of compensatory draft compensation for all the free agents that they're losing this year. So, they could end up with, 2 or 3 third-round comp picks, which could either give them draft ammo to trade up in the 26 draft or kind of have a fallback plan and still have an opportunity to have a good draft in 26 in the event that you have to trade, a 2027 first-round pick or something like that to move up to where you need to move up to in the draft in order to get a franchise guy.
Like it.
Again, that 2025 is really all about getting through it so you can see what you're going to be doing at quarterback in 2026. Now, I think there is an opportunity in the middle of this year's draft to maybe get like a backup quarterback for the future, because there are a few guys. Yeah, they're not franchise starter level quarterbacks, but they can maybe be good backups for you.
How would you feel what if Pittsburgh Steelers select Seth Hennigan in the second round or third round, fourth round, fifth round? How would you feel about that?
And you can get Seth Hennigan as an undrafted free agent. So
hey, relax, bro. Relax.
I don't really think that'd be a good use of a draft pick, because you can get Seth Hennigan that's just a free agent signing.
That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing he's played his way into the third round of the NFL draft.
There's no way Seth Hennigan's going to be a third rounder. There's no way.
Oh man! All right, so let's end the show with this. What are your predictions for your Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think are they gonna win 9 games this year again?
They're gonna win. They're gonna win 10 or 11 games and lose in the wild card round. They could trot me out there quarterback, and that's how it would go.
So all this drama for nothing, for no change whatsoever.
I mean, because this year really, again, it's not the most important season. They are really looking ahead to 2026.
Well, I suspect if that's the way the organization is thinking, that this is not a big year, we're just waiting to the 2026 draft, DK Metcalf and George Pickens are going to go and speak to everybody in the entire freaking world about how terrible this situation is.
DK Metcalf is inked to a 5-year contract worth $130 million. That man is chilling.
The man ain't stopped him before. That man thinks he's God's gift to wide receivers.
Anyway. I don't know, man. Just because he gets penalties during games,
I know, I'm just messing.
I'm not sure about the whole I think George Pickens is a much bigger off the field problem than DK is.
I agree. All right. Well, that's it. Roman, thank you, dude. You are the man. Thank you for joining the show, the On Bluff show. Last minute, filling in for Gabe and Christian. Shout out to those guys, and we hopefully did them proud by doing their show for them this week. Listen, I want to say this. Bluff City Media, we are a small business here in the city of Memphis. We have been around for 3 years. We have built a large following, a large fan base of people who enjoy what we do. If you are one of those people, thank you. Thank you for listening to us, watching or reading Roman stuff, paying attention to the things he does. Roman killed it this year on the Tigers basketball beat. Just an amazing job. If you're a small business owner in the city of Memphis, man, let it partner with us. Let us help you leverage the audience that we have here at Bluff City Media. Millions of impressions every single month that we get. We'd love to leverage our fan base, the people that follow us, and help grow your business. We're small business owners from Memphis. We get it. We understand how difficult it is to grow a small business. Let us help you. Let us partner with you. Hit me up, KennyStubblefield@gmail.com or Kenny_BCM on X. You can follow Roman at ROA Clear. Roman, where else can they see your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if for primarily for Tiger basketball coverage, transfer portal coverage, tune in to X/Twitter again at ROA Clear.
Right.
Follow me on other social media platforms as well. In season, I'm doing digital content surrounding the Tigers for Bluff City Media on the X page as well. All my written work on bluffcitymedia.co.
There you go. Listen, thank you, Roman. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for having a good time rocking with us today. And we will see you back here next week. Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.